Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Raeesa Farooqi. I'm the Manager of Education and Consulting with Bisocial Canada, and I'm super excited to be moderating this next panel as it touches close to my heart. A term that we often use is community capital, which refers to the various kinds of capital that a community needs in order to be healthy and vibrant. One of those is cultural capital, which means the behaviors, beliefs, and ideas that are valued in a given community. A healthy community is one committed to building cultural capital that is equitable and inclusive to all members of its community. That's why I'm super excited to be having two social enterprises here today to talk about how the work that they do helps to build and preserve culture, both in how they operate and in the goods and services that they offer. So I'd first like to introduce Anca Roman from EthniCity Catering. EthniCity Catering is a social enterprise of the Centre for Newcomers in Calgary, Alberta. They provide transitional employment and training for immigrant and refugee women and men, as well as a multi-ethnic menu for Calgary customers. So welcome, Anca. And next, joining us is Barb, Ellis, and Amanda McGee from Circle of Eagles Trading Post. Circle of Eagles Trading Post is an online and retail store owned and operated by the Circle of Eagles Lodge Society, a not-for-profit Indigenous organization located on the Coast Salish territory. The Trading Post creates opportunities for Indigenous brothers and sisters who are reintegrating from the justice system, as well as others in the community who to participate in the local economy. So welcome, Barb and Amanda. So let's dive in. Maybe Anca, you can kick us off. I'd love to hear more about EthniCity and how the building and preserving of culture shows up in the work that EthniCity does.
Thank you very much, Raeesa, and welcome to everybody to this session. I'm quite honored to be here. EthniCity Catering had started as years ago, about over 20 years ago, as a collective kitchen for women, for immigrant women. We actually started in a basement in a church somewhere in Northeast Calgary. And at the time, women would come together and really just cook, exchange, talk, chat, occasionally bring their children as well, exchange food recipes and things like that. From that, we then started a whole program with a kitchen, still out of our organization, or cooking out of a basement. And then we moved finally in the building, within our buildings, and we've changed locations. We are now in Marlborough for the ones in Calgary, and at Village Square also in Northeast. So to reply with your question, that idea that food is so essential for each and every one of us, and especially when you are a newcomer or a refugee, something that keeps you close to your culture is the food that you grew up with and you enjoy. And of course, it means that you also explore other people's food. But at the end of the day, especially in times of stress, food is something that's comforting. As you mentioned, our menu is indeed cultural, and multicultural, multi-ethnic. We cook everything from all parts of the world, literally. And clients, our catering clients, can actually order various foods from around the world. Something that I'm quite proud of, and it shows the core values of our social enterprise, is that during the pandemic, we were known in the city for offering culturally comforting food hampers. So we received donations. We served, I believe, over 1,700 individuals with culturally comforting food, food baskets. So people could choose from the menu and indicate what they wanted. And I think, especially as everybody knows, during the pandemic, when people were isolated, this was something that they truly enjoyed. People truly enjoyed having. We continue to offer food in our two cafes. They are culturally inspired. And yes, that's all we do at the moment. And of course, at the center of our social enterprise are our students, our trainees. because they come from immigrant and refugee backgrounds, men and women, about 64 on average a year. They get employed by us and trained by us, not only in cooking and handling food altogether in a commercial kitchen, but also in we provide employment skills and job search support, so they can once they graduate, they can find job within the food industry. Thank you.
Awesome. That's wonderful, Anca. And I think you're so right. Food is culture, it's identity. And it's fascinating that EthniCity has been built around a social enterprise to provide that cultural connection towards food. So maybe Barb and Amanda, I'd love to hear more about Circle of Eagles and how it supports Indigenous cultural preservation and reclamation.
Perfect. Thank you. So first, I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the unceded territory of Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Coast Salish. And working and playing is what we love to do here. So that's part of what we do with our trading post. It's kind of a piece of the bigger picture. So Circle of Eagles is a residential facility for men and women that are leaving the institution, and we've started programs within it. We have an employment program, we have a peer support program, we have an outreach program. So of all this, what we found is there was a lot of people that were coming out that were really, really talented artists, and they really didn't have a way to understand the system. They were selling things for, way below what they could get, or they didn't have the skills to know how to move forward. So the trading post kind of began with that. And we started with a very simple idea, and we moved forward. And it actually started at the beginning of the pandemic, when it seems like out of everything that was so tragic during that time, some things came out that were really, really good. And one of the things that we kind of started at that point was we started doing masks for the seniors, because they didn't have anything that we could get to them. So we had a few of the sisters that were living in the houses start making masks, and they started sewing them, and we had the sewing machines, and they were giving back to the community. And that was just one of the things we did. But now we've got a brick and mortar facility that is down in Vancouver, in East Vancouver. We also have an online store. So we just work with the brothers and sisters and community members to encourage and help them have a venue to sell their artwork.
Wonderful. That's wonderful to hear, Barb. So Anca, back to you. I've ordered actually from EthniCity a few times. I'm also based in Calgary. And I've always loved how diverse the menu is. And you mentioned that as well. And I was curious, have any of the food items been introduced by participants of the program? And if so, what do these cultural connections mean to them?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for ordering from us. I hope you did enjoy the items you tried. Yes. Absolutely. One of our kitchen staff, she was one of our students, and we hired her. She was with us many years ago, just in the collective kitchen. Then when we became a social enterprise, she became one of our staff members, and she is the one that cooks several specialties. So she is of Arabic origin, Arabic background. She cooks some of our specialties. However, over the years, in each intake, so out of the 4 intakes that we get over a year, we do encourage students to share their food and what they are good at, and we incorporate some of their menu items within our specials for each lunch, for especially at Village Square. We just opened in Marlborough about a month ago. Furthermore, something that we are quite proud about it is that one of our students who comes from Ethiopia and had her own catering and restaurant in Kenya, where she was a refugee. She came at the beginning of the year to Canada, and she became one of our trainees. She shared with us some of her dishes, and she was then featured in Savor magazine, which is small. It's a small local magazine, food-free magazine, but nevertheless, she's a success. Her love of food and her just the talent that she showed, and the way she cooked food traditionally was amazing. We continue to encourage students. We had food from Trinidad and Tobago not long ago with the student that we had at the time. We had food from the Philippines. We had food from Vietnam previously, and so on. So these were all our students that, or trainees, if you wish, who contributed, and we featured their dishes as well. And we do hope in the near future to do the same. Thank you.
That's wonderful to hear, and yeah, congrats to your student on that feature. That's awesome. Barb and Amanda, I know Circle of Eagles sells a lot of traditional supplies such as sweetgrass and smudge kits. I was wondering, are these all curated and made by participants of your program? And maybe if you could share a story of what that means to the folks that you do work with.
So one of the things that we really try and do, especially with our medicines, is really source them from where they come from. So with our sage, for example, that is harvested locally up in the Nicola Valley. So it's a whole story, really. I mean, from the very beginning of planning the trip, having the sisters or brothers, we had 2 trips this year. We had one with the sisters that went up and they learned the tradition of the lands, how they pick it. Everything is picked with good intentions. So they learn that from the very beginning. Just like food with, we want to have that good intention at the beginning and be able to carry that through to the very end. So that's why it's really important when we pick the medicines, we have that in mind when we're doing it. Then we bring it back and it's harvested here in Vancouver. Once it's harvested, then we actually hand make the little bags that they go in. So they're sewn here locally as well. They're put in, and then depending on what the medicines are for, like you said, we do have a smudge kit where we have we have a little kit that has everything for smudging in it. And we sell those as well. And everything from that, I mean, we buy the box, but other than that, we create the tags locally. So we make those. We do everything is sourced locally. Everything is put together. It's quite amazing when you look at the end how much you get through that whole process. Our sweetgrass comes right from Saskatchewan, so it's picked at a family farm and processed and sent here. So again, that's the other thing we do. But we have a healing journey starting next week, and part of the healing journey will be about teas. So again, teas are sourced locally. It's all a teaching behind it. So it's a really multifaceted way that we like to approach things and try and have, the culture, the teachings, have elders input where they can, and be able to share that knowledge with people that maybe have lost it through, just multiple intergenerational trauma and things that have happened over the years. So we really try and encourage that they learn those again. And we do what we can for that. So, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear the whole life cycle of how the products are made. And I think, talking about food and art, and art is just, it's a way in which we demonstrate and explore our culture, our beliefs, our values, and be able to, and for Circle of Eagles to put that front and center and make it such an integral part of this work. It's fascinating. Amanda, I don't know if you wanted to provide any further insight on kind of what Barb shared there.
Well, I think she kind of covered everything in terms of, where we acquire our medicines from and how we get those types of items together. The nice thing about Trading Post is not only are we helping them overcome barriers and stigmas with what they're making, but they're also able to see the value in what they make as artists. They're not, like as you said, they're not undervaluing themselves. So we're helping them work towards that next step of their journey and save for, the future. So they're not coming out completely overwhelmed and feeling as though they can't accomplish anything. So it's really nice to be able to show them from start to finish how you can create something and what it can become.
That's awesome. Perfect. Well, we have time for one question. So maybe we'll kind of do this a bit more rapid fire, but we can start with you, Anca. What action do you want to see in the ecosystem to further support the social enterprise movement to grow and increase impact?
So something that I would like is that, small local businesses, social enterprises are becoming more mainstream. It is difficult, I find, to compete with bigger caterings in our case. Yes, often people make a point that they realize we offer cater to nonprofit, but also to corporate organizations, and very many do enjoy the idea of supporting the training of people who then get to integrate and contribute in our society. So something that I would like is truly that ability that small, well-intentioned social enterprises, my colleagues here in the panel are a prime example of art being produced, craft and art being produced by individuals who also want to contribute, integrate, but preserve their culture. So I think within the Canadian tapestry, I would like to see this yeah, thank you.
Cool. That's awesome. And Barb and Amanda, same question to you. What actions do you want to see in the ecosystem to further support the social enterprise movement?
So I echo exactly the same thing. I think that we as nonprofits, we always try and support other nonprofits, but I think that what we're seeing is that integration into corporate, and seeing that, there's more that we can do to not only be able to build ourselves, but also to share about what we have knowledge of, and be able to share the insights and how that works. And I think looking at reconciliation and what that means, for me, that's what it is. It's about incorporating reconciliation into mainstream and having people understand and feel that it's okay to ask questions. So sharing that knowledge is really important for me as well. As a settler here, that's what I always try and see, is how we can share that information with mainstream, with other people, and just have that open conversation where it's okay to ask questions and understand and really move forward.
And Amanda, if anything else you want to chime in on that question?
Well, I feel like they both covered it pretty good in terms of what we would like to see. So no, I actually don't have anything additional right now.
Yeah, I love it. I think I totally agree myself. So I just want to thank you all, Anca, Barb, and Amanda, for joining today and sharing your stories about your social enterprises. I think EthniCity and Circle of Eagles are just fantastic examples of how social enterprise are just a wonderful platform to demonstrate and strengthen culture, beliefs, and value in our communities, both in how you operate as a business, but also in providing platforms for diversity and inclusiveness and reconciliation to really grow and strengthen in our communities. So I really do appreciate that. I just do want to do a quick plug for both of your organizations. Circle of Eagles, by around Thursday, I believe, they're going to be selling orange shirts for Truth and Reconciliation. So the shirts are going to be $25 each, I believe, Amanda. And they'll be offering a 15% discount for bulk purchases of 20 plus shirts. So that would be $21 each. So I think, Amanda, if you can throw in the chat the contact info for folks if they are interested in purchasing shirts, that'd be awesome. And Anca, for EthniCity, if anyone is in Calgary, they are have 2 locations like she mentioned, so do check them out. They have a wonderful cafe and really great food, so if you're in town, definitely check out EthniCity. So I'm going to pass it now to my colleague Tori Williamson for closing remarks. So Tori.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Raeesa, Barb, Amanda, and Anca. This event has just been incredible. I'm feeling such abundance with the sharing of stories, the resources that people have been sharing in the chat, and all the different support and conversation. So thank you all so much to all of the speakers and and participants. We've heard a lot of compelling calls to action throughout the past 2 hours, so we put together a handy recap for you to kind of move forward, and we hope that this conversation today doesn't stop here, that we all start to take action to support the social enterprise ecosystem. At the beginning, Lynn White had some beautiful words to share about how trust and mutual benefit has been always a part of Indigenous trade, and how we need to think about bringing forward those values into our economy today. And so that trade can, and as we've seen demonstrated throughout these conversations, have such a significant impact in our social environment. Barb shared that we need more integration, more sharing, and we need more reconciliation. So let's continue this conversation and share our knowledge and learnings with each other. We had some great calls for regional and local support from Carol Ann and Anca. Carol Ann looking for regional support in Atlantic Canada, and Anca wanting to see more small local social enterprises are becoming mainstream. So I think we can all think about our own communities and how we can better support social enterprises here on the ground, as well as across the country as a movement. On the purchasing side, we had some great words from Tim Coldwell, where it wasn't just about having a policy, but you have to actually do it. We need to see follow through from purchasers on social procurement policies. And as Gerbine said so eloquently, just vote with your dollar. I think we all need to be thinking about the values that we have and how each of our purchases are a reflection of those values. And as a sector, we can think about, as Andy shared, all of the social economy network connecting and working together, co-ops, Bisocial Canada, SEDNet. We are all part of this change in our economy. And so we can collaborate and work together to better lift up and support each other. And last but not least, Corrine Bagley shared that we just want more. We want more research. We want more success stories. We want more learnings, just more. So hopefully we can all sum up a little bit of energy in our busy days and take on a little bit more to continue to share and grow this fantastic work. We're going to be sharing a link in the chat for a post-event survey. So please let us know what you thought, what you'd like to see more of for the future. Your collaboration is critical to us because although we love attending these events and hosting them, it's really about you, our attendees, and what you can get out of it. So please feel free to share your thoughts and feedback with us. Thank you to Shandos Construction for sponsoring the event, for sharing their AirMeet platform with us. I know I really enjoy the conversations that it enables through the tables. And as we mentioned briefly, the tables will be open after this session if you want to stay and have a conversation with anybody. Thank you to Neve O'Sullivan from our team. She shared the research earlier and has been taking on the reins as social enterprise lead at Bisocial Canada. She brings dedication and compassion to her work. And if you want to become certified or learn more about social enterprise, please reach out to her. This event would not have been possible without Emma Renertz, our amazing superstar communications manager. She has done an incredible job with her care and consideration, and her hard work reflects how smooth and bountiful this event has been. So thank you so much, Emma. We'll be sending out a follow-up email. I know we've got lots in the chat, so if you didn't get a chance to grab them all, we will be sending those out, and we'll also be sharing the recording so you can catch up and share with your colleagues. I'm going to close today with a quote from Marketplace Revolution by David LePage, Bisocial Canada's founder. If you haven't read it yet, you absolutely should, and you should also buy a copy and gift it to your friend. There's another shameless plug. It's time to transcend the dogma and practices of extraction economics that result in social exclusion and income inequality. It's time for social enterprise, social procurement, and social value finance to converge to create community capital. It's time for a marketplace revolution. So fists in the air, let's keep up the good fight, share that abundance, and I'm sure we'll be able to connect with the rest of the Bisocial Canada staff sometime soon. Thank you, everybody.